Today we're going to be looking at who I think is going to dethrone every single current champion in the WWE today as of June 2024. And we are going to be looking at the main roster and NXT as well. This is a monthly video series that gives us all the opportunity to slow down, stop, look around, smell the roses, and analyze every current champion and who we think they're going to lose to based on current feuds, contextual clues, and my own personal hunches. And we're just coming off the back of May 2024 that had 2 premium live events, and we have Clash at the Castle just around the corner. So these championship stories and championship feuds have been cooking like crazy recently. So let's talk about all this. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. Death, taxes, and regardless of what I'm going through, whether it's moving, whether it's vacation, whether it's I can't find my beard trimmers, by the way, I finally found my beard trimmers, you will always get a daily wrestling video here. My regulars in the comments will vouch for me. I do not miss days. All right, let's jump into it. Let's first start off with the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships that are currently being held by the super team of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, a team that I will continue to say may just end up going down in history as the most dominant tag team champions of all time across both men and women, because I just do not see any team realistically having a chance of beating them, especially beating them clean. I still believe that the only way that they're going to lose these championships is through shenanigans or through self-sabotage where they implode because of internal mistakes or one turns on one another. I still stand by that. However, I do think that we have the perfect opportunity for them to potentially lose and drop the titles as early as Clash at the Castle, depending on how they want to book things and when they might be interested in doing Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. In the last video, I did suggest that the only team that could potentially dethrone these two were the pantheon of gods of Olympus. I'm talking teams like Zeus and Poseidon, maybe Hades and Hera coming together to try and take out the super team that is Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. But then I gave you a serious option, which was Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. This hasn't at all come into fruition. Now we do see Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton being buddies and making content on TikTok and Instagram Reels, but we haven't seen this really flourish into anything on screen. We saw a tiny little bit of it, but it didn't really amount to anything. They are very clearly 2 separate entities when it comes to their time on Friday Night SmackDown. Nia Jax is the queen of the ring, and Tiffany Stratton will continue to vie for the Women's WWE Championship most likely. They're both very much structured and cemented into a singles run, probably for the foreseeable future, so I do not see this at all coming into play, but I did think that they were a perfect type of foil for the super team that was Bianca and Jade, but I don't see it happening, let alone seeing these two actually forming a tag team on SmackDown. Here's who I think could potentially have a chance because of the venue to dethrone Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and I need you to stick with me here, all right? The unholy union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I know this sounds crazy, a tag team that was barely getting any TV time on Monday Night Raw, now potentially getting an opportunity for the women's tag titles as early as Clash at the Castle, and I'm thinking that there's a good chance that they actually walk away with the tag titles here. In my predictions of what I thought the Clash at the Castle card might end up being, I did predict that it was going to be Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. This match is not confirmed, but I do believe that this is the route that they're going to go. I'm sure that they're probably going to do a #1 contenders match between the Unholy Union and Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, or maybe just straight up do a women's triple threat tag team match at Clash at the Castle. If there is a women's triple threat tag team match, then I think you can completely throw this out the window, but if it is a traditional tag team match between the Unholy Union and Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, I think that there's a good chance that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn walk out as tag team champions, not because they best or outmaneuver or outperform Bianca Belair or Jade Cargill. Maybe there is cheating, maybe there's interference, maybe there's a mistake that's made, a mistake that could potentially cause them to split up and become singles competitors. And by the way, I'm just saying, Monday Night Raw desperately needs women's singles competitors. I know that they're on SmackDown, but they could shift things around. They could really benefit from a Bianca Belair right now over on Monday Night Raw. I'm just saying. But here's the thing, all right? If we do have Alba Fire and Isla Dawn in this match, a championship match, that means we have 3 sets of Scots that are having title matches at Clash at the Castle. Drew McIntyre, who I think is going to lose. Piper Niven, who I know is going to lose. So in my head canon, I do not see a world where the WWE has 3 sets of Scots lose in Scotland. One of them needs to win, and I don't think it's any of them that are gonna win the singles championships. It could be this because of shenanigans, like I said. And they have fast-tracked these two so quickly, from winning matches to main event, right to Monday Night Raw, right to this tag team title scene. I do think that this could be the route that they're gonna go. If it happens, it's not gonna be clean. This is a tag team that's just really confusing me in terms of what the hell they're doing. They first had this thing with New Catch Republic, and then we had the Judgment Day winning the #1 contendership for the tag titles. That hasn't really developed into anything. It hasn't even developed into backstage segments or anything. This set of championships just sort of seems in limbo at the moment. They haven't been defending the championships. They haven't had feuds. They haven't really done anything in a good amount of time. It really is a shame. Now, in the last video, I had suggested that perhaps the Creed brothers might become #1 contenders. They might join in with Chad Gable, and they might bring gold for Chad Gable's team, gold that Alpha Academy wasn't able to bring. I still think that this is potentially something that could happen down the line. We are still seeing Chad Gable chat up Julius Creed and Brutus Creed backstage, but it hasn't really developed into anything that I think could develop into them winning tag titles as early as at some point in June. I just don't see it happening. However, maybe it is the Judgment Day. We are seeing Carlito getting involved in matches, helping Finn Balor and JD McDonough, who are the ones with the #1 contendership. We don't know when that match is going to happen. Has it already happened? I don't even know. But I'm going back to this going towards the Judgment Day because I think that we're going to have another era of Judgment Day collecting a ton of gold, but this time not surrounding Mommy, this time surrounding Liv Morgan, which they can again use to further the storyline of Liv Morgan stealing everything that Rhea Ripley has built. So whatever, man. I guess I'll go back to the Judgment Day as my pick. I just keep going back and forth every single month with who the hell is going to win these things. It's tough to predict when WWE doesn't care about these titles. I don't know what to tell you. The World Tag Titles I do think is a bit more clear. Funnily enough, in the last video, I had suggested that DIY could come out as your next tag team champions, and I'm sticking with this. Now, the original prediction that I made, I had nothing to go off of. All I said was, okay, I guess DIY's on SmackDown. Maybe they're going to get the first crack at the tag titles, and it seems like that's the way that they're going. We're having singles matches between these two. We're having animosity between the champions, as Grayson Waller was heard by Austin Theory saying that the only reason Austin Theory is relevant is because he got the Grayson Waller rub. So we're already seeing dissension between these two. We know that Triple H likes these two, and they are a hell of a tag team, and these two could be a hell of a feud singles competitors. I think it could be the right time to put the titles on DIY. Staying in the tag team division, we have Nathan Frazier and Axiom in a very depleted tag team division in NXT. They did have a match against Authors of Pain, who I did predict were going to beat them because I thought Authors of Pain and Karrion Kross were going to be in NXT for the long haul. It seems like they're out of NXT. They did nothing with Karrion Kross down in NXT. They really didn't pull the trigger on Authors of Pain either. But I do think with the stuff that's going on with AJ Styles, it seems like maybe AJ Styles is bringing back the Good Brothers into the limelight. Maybe the Good Brothers win the NXT tag titles at the upcoming NXT Battleground. I mean, frankly, there is no other better option, because if these two don't win, like, there's just no other really credible tag teams right now in NXT. It's a really depleted division, frankly, to the point where if it's not the Good Brothers, I think it should be a team from TNA if they do end up doing some sort of TNA cross NXT Worlds Collide. But right now, in terms of context that I have, this is actually the best option, and it's not a great one. Obafemi is bound for the world title at some point or another. There was already a stare down between him and Trick Williams as they crossed paths during Obafemi's entrance, and I'm pretty confident that at some point or another within the next 6 months, Obafemi is going to be going after that world title. So I do think that he is going to be dropping it to somebody, but I don't think it's the person that I predicted in the last video, which was Wes Lee. I think that Wes Lee really is there to rehabilitate and then go off to the main roster, because this guy is so main roster ready, and I just don't know that another North American Championship reign is going to do anything for him at this point. I really think that his time right now is to go to the main roster and go have banger matches, or to compete for the actual NXT World title. The person I'm going to go with is actually Joe Coffey, which sounds a little bit bizarre here. However, there is a triple threat match happening at Battleground, and it gives Joe Coffey the opportunity to win the title without pinning Obafemi. He can pin Wesley. Wesley can eat a pin. Everyone already loves Wesley. It could protect Obafemi. Wesley could eat that loss, go to the main roster if he wants to, or change divisions, and Joe Coffey could be your next monster of the mid-card alongside the other members of Gallus. So this is what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Joe Coffey. At Battleground, we also have the NXT North American Women's Championship inaugural ladder match. In the last video, I had suggested that it was going to be Sol Ruca. It's kind of an obvious option, but in the build-up and in the promos and the segments from all of these women, there's actually been one that's been standing out to me the most as the most dangerous threat to actually win this thing, and it's actually not Sol Ruca. It's Fallon Henley. For me, Fallon Henley has started to rise in terms of the rankings of who I think is going to win this, and has now separated herself amongst the rest. I think that she is going to be my pick, and I think that she is a sneaky dark pick to come out as the winner. We have Logan Paul's United States Championship that hasn't been defended since WrestleMania. He's been busy with Prime. He's been busy on social media. He's been busy wrestling at home, and he was also busy with Cody Rhodes. But it seems like we're going to be getting the United States Championship back on television. In the last video, I had suggested that it could be LA Knight, but I had suggested this before they even had a stare down. I said, I think that Logan Paul holds this title all the way up until SummerSlam. It's possible that Logan Paul versus LA Knight could happen as early as Money in the Bank. They're already not even planting seeds. Like, this is now a full-blown feud, even if it's mostly through social media, but we've already had LA Knight call him out. I don't know if you can drag this all the way through to the start of August without these two actually having a match before then. I think it could very well be at Money in the Bank. But if it does happen on Money in the Bank, I think that Logan Paul wins at Money in the Bank, but LA Knight gets another crack at him at SummerSlam. I still think it's LA Knight, so I'm going to stick with this. Sami Zayn is the Intercontinental Champion and is the champion of my current favorite division in all of professional wrestling because the IC title picture is so darn entertaining. In the last video, I do feel like I missed. I went with Bronson Reed. I said that Bronson Reed might be a big dark horse pick to come out as the champion in the triple threat match at King and Queen of the Ring. Maybe pinning Sami Zayn, pinning Chad Gable, or maybe Chad Gable and Sami Zayn cost each other the match, and then they can go off and have a match and a feud, not including the title. I thought that they could potentially pull something like that off. That wasn't the case. In fact, it was Bronson Reed that ate the pin. I'm back to Chad Gable. I think Chad Gable, if he re-signs with the WWE, could very well be a foregone conclusion to win this thing. Not only because I think that he'd be a great champion and him and Sami Zayn could have a good set of matches throughout the summer, but I think that he could be the perfect champion to allow Otis to break the shackles and dethrone him. I think that eventually we're going to have an Otis Intercontinental Championship match versus Chad Gable, and Otis is going to walk out as the winner. That's still a little bit too early, but in fact, I'm actually calling this for Clash at the Castle. I think Chad Gable walks out as the winner, as the champion, and then we set up something in the future between him and Otis. Again, this is all really dependent on Chad Gable actually signing because the news of him becoming a free agent just sort of came out of nowhere, but we'll see. Let's go into the women's singles titles. Let's start off with Roxanne Perez, who is your current NXT champion. She doesn't really have a very strong division at the moment. There is a lot of really talented women, but they're all vying for the North American mid-card title. But in terms of the main event scene, so many of those women got called up to the main roster. That's why I said that it could be Julia, but then Julia ended up getting hurt. So I have to pull back on this option, even though maybe it could still be Julia down the line, but I don't know how long she's out for. I don't know if it's for the entire summer. I don't know if it's going to be like Survivor Series time. We shall see. I am going to change my choice though. Believe it or not, if they're going to actually pull the trigger on this partnership between TNA and NXT, I think Jordynne Grace is a fantastic option to walk out of Battleground as the NXT Women's Champion. How mind-blowing would that be if they actually have a proper partnership where Jordynne Grace can appear on both shows on Thursday's Impact as well as NXT on Tuesdays? that would actually be so batshit insane. It would be the talk of the town. And I think that she's a very credible champion, a very experienced champion as well. And she can be the face of this partnership between NXT and TNA as well. Also potentially opening up the opportunity for somebody from NXT to take the TNA Knockouts Championship from her. I think if you're gonna do this partnership, go all the way with it and give Jordynne Grace this championship. Because frankly, Roxanne Perez has already won this championship multiple times. She's okay, she's gonna be fine. I think you should prioritize strengthening this relationship and making it must-watch TV as opposed to Roxanne Perez's development she's already developed. Like, she's good to go, bro. In the last video, the women's champion was Bayley. It is still Bayley, and I made the choice that pissed off a lot of you that it was going to be a returning Charlotte at SummerSlam that would end up being the downfall of Bayley. And I know that you hated the option, but I also know that deep down inside, you knew that it made sense because it's death taxes and Charlotte winning a championship whenever she comes back from injury. However, there is already 2 set championship matches for Bayley if she's able to go through the gauntlet this summer. She has Piper Niven, a championship match that I don't think that she's going to lose. But she also has Queen Nia Jax at SummerSlam, and I gotta be honest with you, I think they're gonna pull the trigger on Nia Jax as the champion. I think that Nia Jax is going to walk out of SummerSlam as your champion. And if I can call back to earlier in the video, I'm already starting to allude to singles runs for both Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and Jade Cargill never really got her proper match against Nia Jax. Now imagine her finally getting her match, her feud with Nia Jax for the freaking championship. It's kind of a perfect sequence of events here. I think it's going to be Nia Jax, and god damn it, whether you hate it or love it, I think it's happening. In the last video, Becky Lynch was the women's world champion, and I had predicted that she would lose this championship to Liv Morgan as early as King and Queen of the Ring. And bada bim, bada boom, realest guys in the room, I ended up being correct. It was Liv Morgan that ended up defeating Becky Hogan, as so many people have been calling her. Here's the thing, right now this division is in shambles. Everyone that could potentially be a true viable option for this championship is gone, like Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley, is busy like Lyra Valkyria taking on Io Sky, or is in the tag team division. The main event scene of the women's championship scene is kind of a desolate wasteland right now on Monday Night Raw, which is why I had hinted and suggested and maybe a trade for Bianca Belair going to Monday Night Raw. I think she could be a great foil for somebody like Liv Morgan, but I think that this story with Liv Morgan in the championship is going to be missing a lot of championship matches. I don't think that she's going to be defending for a while. I don't think that she's going to be having matches on premium live events. It's all setting up the return of Rhea Ripley, who, let's face it, is going to be the one that dethrones Liv Morgan. But when? When is Rhea Ripley able to come back? How long could they stretch the story of Liv Morgan trying to be a succubus and destroy Judgment Day from within? I don't know. I would think it's SummerSlam, but regardless of how long it takes, it's Rhea Ripley. Whether it's next week, in 4 months, maybe Liv Morgan runs for a year. It's whenever this woman comes back, that's when Liv Morgan loses the championship. No one else. Let's go into the men's singles championships. I was crazy when I suggested this, but Trick Williams is the current champion. He was the champion in the last cycle as well, and I, for some reason, had suggested that it could be Karrion Kross. AOP and Testament were all down there. Same with Karrion Kross. I figured, okay, maybe they're going to do the thing where they're going to rehabilitate Karrion Kross. Maybe do a Dolph Ziggler style championship run where he goes down to NXT and becomes the champion. I don't know. I thought that it could happen, but it clearly is not the route that they're going. Karrion Kross is busy with the New Day. They haven't appeared on NXT in quite a while, so I don't think that this is ever going to flourish into anything, and I was dumb for even suggesting it apparently. However, a new character has just joined the picture, okay? And I need you to just sort of stick with me here because it sounds crazy, but I actually do think that Ethan Page, which by the way, people said that Ethan Page is just a good looking version of me or that I'm an ugly Ethan Page. Thanks for that. I think Ethan Page could waltz into NXT and immediately become the NXT champion. That, I know it sounds crazy, but they're already treating him like a megastar. They're rolling out the red carpet, instantly in the main event scene, instantly gets a championship opportunity. I think it would be kind of underwhelming if he doesn't win the championship after getting all of this stuff. And Trick Williams honestly is more entertaining chasing the championship than being the champion. He hasn't really been able to be an entertaining champion because of the lack of talent that was left after the draft in the main event scene of NXT. The main roster raided the NXT roster over the last several months. And I do think that a champion, Ethan Page, might be more entertaining if he's being chased by babyface Trick Williams. So I can't believe I'm saying this. I think within less than 3 weeks of his debut, that I think that Ethan Page might be your NXT champion. We'll talk about this next month and let's see how crazy I was. I still think I'm in the minority of people with this choice, but look, Damian Priest has become a very, very good champion. But when I say I'm in the minority of who I think is going to win, because I don't think that Damian Priest walks into SummerSlam as your world heavyweight champion. I don't think that it's going to be, I don't think that it's going to be Gunther that dethrones him. I don't think that it's going to be Drew McIntyre. I don't think it's going to be CM Punk. I don't think it's going to be any of those guys. I think we're going to go back into the well of main event Jey Uso. Main event Jey Uso had Damian Priest beat at Backlash. He didn't get his opportunity to have a rematch after he was screwed over. He's going after the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think that it makes the most sense to have a pure raw babyface walk into SummerSlam to have a match against the evil, tyrannical King General Gunther. It doesn't make sense for it to be Damian Priest or Drew McIntyre. And the best top babyface, like clear white bread babyface, is Jey Uso. So at some point in this summer, I think that it's Jey Uso that dethrones Damian Priest. I'll throw a different scenario at you. Maybe it is Drew McIntyre. He gets a rematch at Money in the Bank, beats Damian Priest, and then immediately, within 5 minutes of winning, he gets screwed over again by CM Punk and Jey Uso comes in and cashes in. That'd be fucking hilarious, but I do think that in some way, shape, or form, it's Jey Uso that walks into SummerSlam as champion. And when it comes to Cody Rhodes, I haven't really changed my tune here. I do think that every feud that he has up until he faces the final boss and The Rock is kind of a moot point. He's going to win every single feud. I love what's going on with AJ Styles. I'm incredibly entertained by it, but Cody Rhodes is winning at Clash at the Castle. If Cody Rhodes faces whoever the hell at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam or Survivor Series, if it's not The Rock, he's winning, because I do think it is going to be The Rock when he eventually returns, and he's probably going to put up his fake ass People's Championship or whatever it is that it's called. I think it's going to be The Rock that is the one that dethrones Cody Rhodes. And frankly, as these videos continue, I think you're just going to continue to see The Rock on here unless something really drastically changes. All right, folks, that's the video. Thank you very much for watching, but that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.